Hello and welcome to our second session covering iconic FIFA World Cup matches. Today is the 24th anniversary of Brazil's match against Germany in the 2002 FIFA World Cup Final in Korea and Japan, and we want to use the tracking data provided by SkillCorner to have a data-driven look into this game. So when we look on the, let's say, full match replay of this game, the video which is available on YouTube on FIFA's channel, you can see for each team the starting 11 players' names for Germany and Brazil. Back in those days, at least for that tournament, they didn't show what is the prediction for the formation that each team is going to play. And that's exactly what we want to do today based on data. Just as a baseline, we look into a public source, in this case, Transfermarkt, to see what is their, let's say, suggestion for the formation. They had 3-4-1-2 for Germany and 3-4-2-1 for Brazil. It's interesting to see the names of legendary players here. From Brazil, you had Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo. And when you're looking into Germany, you see Klose, you see Schneider, and you see Oliver Kahn. So the tracking data that's coming from TV broadcast, as you can see on the right side, for each player and the ball, we have their coordinates 10 frames per second. And this is exactly the second goal Brazil scored in this match by R9 Ronaldo, making it 2-0 and winning the 2002 FIFA World Cup. We are going to apply the method suggested in my PhD thesis, identification of team tactical formations and player positions in association football, to see what was the formation of each team and also provide a dynamic view over match time. In summary, for each team, we focus on the 10 outfield players playing from bottom to top. We fit, let's say, graph representation, which we call a shape graph. We color the nodes in this graph. The vertical colors and horizontal colors in combination tell you what is the momentary tactical position of a player. For example, we have the dark blue for the back line, light blue for the defensive midfield, gray for midfield, light red for attacking midfield, and red for the front line. And when it comes to the horizontal colors, we have dark brown for the left, light brown for left central, gray for central, light green for right central, and green for right channel. So the combination, let's say, of the vertical colors and horizontal colors for each player in each match frame translates to the position. Let's say, for example, the player who has been labeled as a right center back, that the reason is that he was, let's say, in the back line, dark blue for the vertical level and light green for the horizontal level. That translates to the, let's say, right center back based on this 5x5 matrix. Okay, we pick a player, Brazil number 2, legendary Cafu. In each match frame, we have 25 possibilities that this player is going to end up in one of these cells. So we can go over the whole match time when the game was in play and just report what percentage of the game we have observed this player to occupy any of these 25 cells. And this is, let's say, the profile we end up having from this player. Around 24% of the time he spent in the RB cell, right back, 33% right wing back, 18% right midfielder, 11% right wing forward, and around 9% right forward. So now what we can do, we can go back to the baseline formation from Transfermarkt, 3-4-2-1 for Brazil. And we just, let's say, pick these 5x5 grids that we computed the probability of the player being in any of those cells, which we call those, let's say, visualizations position maps. And we're going to just arrange them according to this, let's say, suggestion that Transfermarkt has. And this is the picture we end up with. So as you can see here, we can argue that the players in the back three, they are more or less in the same, let's say, right spot. Player number 3 is moving more, let's say, than the other players, but I think the back line, we can, let's say, agree on that. When it comes to the, let's say, the number 2 and number 6 from Brazil, you can maybe say that they were, let's say, more defensive than offensive. So maybe we can even say Brazil was playing in a back 5, but also it depends on the phases of the play. Going to the number 8 and number 15, you can maybe say number 8 was, let's say, the defensive midfielder, and number 15, we need to move him to one line higher on this, let's say, layout, as he has spent around 19% in the right attacking midfield. So if we move him one line upper, then we need to rearrange the players who are, let's say, on the attacking midfield line based on Transfermarkt. For example, you look at number 11, you can see he has shown a very high entropy position map. He was really appearing in a lot of different cells. Maybe, but we can argue that maybe we need to move him from the left to the right. He has spent most of the time on the right side. So we need to flip and switch his position maps and, let's say, place in this arrangement with number 10. So number 10 should go to the left, number 11 should go to the right, and 15 is also coming up. And then you have R9 Ronaldo, which surprisingly really spend a lot of time as a left forward player. So that's how you can use the Transfermarkt layout as a, let's say, starting point, and then try to find out what, let's say, adjustments you need to make to end up with a better, let's say, layout for the formation. And we can do the same for Germany. Transfermarkt had 3-4-1-2. And this is how it looks like if we arrange it according to that. What we can say here is that, yeah, I think comparing the number 22 and number 17, let's say the wingbacks from Germany to the wingbacks from Brazil, we can maybe argue that they were playing more attacking. So maybe it's right to say that Germany was in a back three. They had three players in this line. Maybe the only difference and adjustment that we want to make is that number 8 should go to the right, number 16 should come to the left. So it's a horizontal adjustment. Number 19, Schneider, as attacking midfield, I think we can argue that that's a good place to have him. And when it comes to number 11 and number 7, I think we can argue that these players showed a really high interchangeably. They changed a lot on the front line and switched positions, but overall having them on the front line seems a good choice. So we can say that what we see from transfer market for Germany can really reflect what has happened on the pitch. But of course, these formation labels are really just one code to describe how Germany or Brazil played in this match in an overall, let's say, way. But what we can do, we can go back to this, let's say, coloring scheme that we have introduced. And we pick a player, number 11 from Brazil, Ronaldinho, and we can just use the colors we have for the vertical level and horizontal level, and just have the time series of how he has, let's say, played in that game in terms of positions. So I think it's clear that he started on the left channel on the front line because of the dark red and dark brown. So that translates to front line, left forward. Of course, you can see he was not sticking to that position. He was coming inwards and then he moved to the right. So for some time, really, he played as a right forward. Then again, he was really coming inside, going to the left, going to the right. So he was showing a really high versatility on the pitch. And as you can see, at some point, he really dropped from the dark red and showed a lot of light red. So that's also showing that he really moved one line back until the first gap in this time series, which includes a dot. And that dot tells us that number 11 was taken out and number 19 came in as a substitution in that moment. And you can see that number 19, when he came, Juninho, he was playing on the front line, but he was in the, let's say, light green channel horizontally. So right center forward maybe is a good choice, or right attacking midfield because it was also light red. Then there is another gap, and that gap is the moment that Brazil makes a substitution, but still number 19 is on the pitch. And then you can have, let's say, a dynamic view of the positioning of these legendary players based on TV broadcast tracking data. So we can stack the time series of all the players from Brazil, the starting players shown on the left side, the substitutions on the right side, and then you have the 5x5 grid with the coloring scheme as a reference on the upper left of the slide. So now we can just read this visualization like a CT scan and say what is the formation of Brazil really. So I think we will see that it was basically a 5-1-2-2. Why? Because you had this number 6 as the left wing back. As you can see, the lot of the coloring for him is you have dark blue, light blue, also you have red. He was really the wing that he was left wing back that was going up and down. But I think we can argue that the blue color and light blue color also take the majority of the time. So that's why he is, let's say, one of the, let's say, the left back in the back five. Number 3, number 5, and number 4, the 3 center backs, and number 2, Cafu, which we saw his position map, was the right back in the back 5. Number 8 played as the single defensive midfielder. Probably, if you know him, that can also give an indication. Silva, who was playing for Arsenal in I think the Invisible Team 2003-2004. You have Leberson, number 15, who was, as you can see, operating more on the right attacking midfield cell. You have Rivaldo, which shows a really interesting profile because in the beginning he was really in the attacking midfield line, but as you can see, Klose in the second half, really after some point he really moved to the front line. And he basically changed his, let's say, vertical line with Ronaldinho, because Ronaldinho in the beginning was on the front line and in the second half he dropped to the attacking midfield. So Ronaldinho, we saw he really showed a, let's say, high versatility, starting on the left wing, going to the right. And then you have Ronaldo, which I think you can say he was a center forward, but he really had a tendency and preference to play on the left channel because of the dark brown color you can see for him. So in this, let's say, picture, you can see there is a clock. This is the moment that there is a stoppage in the match. We don't know what it has happened, but maybe we don't need to even check the video because we don't see any clear, let's say, adjustments before and after that. It's just for a reference. You see there are 3 substitution signs on the top of the plot. These are the moments that Germany made substitution, and these are just a reference for us whether we can see that Brazil making any adjustments to them or not, which can maybe we argue that they really didn't care about what is Germany doing. So in terms of substitutions, of course. And then it comes to the substitutions that Brazil made. We saw the first one, taking Ronaldinho out, bringing Juninho. And the second one is just taking out Ronaldo and bringing in Denilson, who played basically as a left forward for them. So back in those days, I think you only had 3 substitutions, and Brazil in this case used 2 of them. And I think we can argue more or less they kept this 5-1-2-2 formation. The only maybe change is number 10 and 11 moving between the forward line and attacking midfield, but also you have number 11 who was just changing the sides from the left and right. What about Germany? I think we can, let's say, what we saw from transfer market is a good choice, 3-4-1-2. And this is also how it looks like, the back three. Then you have number 22 as the right midfielder, and number 17 as the left midfielder, 16 and 8, where 16 was the left, let's say, central midfielder, and 8 was the right central midfielder. And then it comes to the front three, where number 19, we saw he was really playing as the attacking midfield behind number 11 and 7. When it comes to the adjustments that Germany made, I think the first one is bringing in Oliver Bierhoff as a replacement for Klose. You can say that Bierhoff was playing more centrally than Klose, so that's the one difference you can observe, but he was still on the front line. When it comes to the second round of substitutions, they bring in Asamoah and taking out number 16. You can clearly see that when Asamoah came in, he was playing as a player on the right channel because of the dark green color. And he was really kind of fulfilling the role that number 22 had. So Asamoah going to that position and then moving number 22 to fill in the, let's say, one of those positions in the midfield line. So still, we can argue that Germany didn't change the formation. They are just adjusting the individual player's position. And then the last substitution, bringing number 6 as a replacement for number 17, which we can still argue that just taking out a left wing back or left midfielder, in this case number 17, and just bringing a fresh leg for that position. And that's how we can describe the formation and the substitutions Germany made in this match. But it didn't really help them. Brazil won that match, and it's really interesting that we can use TV broadcast tracking data to look into the footprint of some of these legendary players that maybe we have a memory with them. I personally remember, I think I was, 6 years old, 7 years old, in front of the TV, and the 2002 FIFA World Cup was the first World Cup I really could realize and understand what's football, what's happening with these countries playing against each other. And it was also a really strange time zone because it was in Korea and Japan. So that's also was an interesting, let's say, competition to follow. And yeah, I think that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. So as you probably know, we have a special series for the iconic World Cup matches. Today we have the second one, but also we are covering the World Cup matches from the 2026 on a daily basis, depending on the importance of the game. So today we had the second session of the iconic World Cup matches. If you're interested in the first one, you can check my LinkedIn post from a few days ago where we started with Portugal's, let's say, battle against Netherlands from the 2006. We had with 4 red cards and 16 yellow cards. And it was really interesting to see when you have red cards and that many red cards, how, let's say, the formations look like. And that was an interesting, let's say, experience for me. And that's it. And thanks for your attention.